Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This channel's regular broadcast is interrupted for a special coverage of the Magik, Illyana and Storm limited series. Published by Marvel Comics in 1983 and 1984. In the previous episode we saw how Illyana got snatched by Belasco in the split second of the X-Men teleporting out of Limbo during their rescue attempt. An older Storm from an alternate timeline who had been trapped in Limbo and was helping the X-Men in the rescue attempt followed Belasco to his lair. She got beaten by him, but they were rescued by Cat, an all grown-up version of Kitty Pryde from the same timeline as Storm and who had also been trapped. But not before Belasco was able to corrupt a part of Illyana's soul, after which he created the first Bloodstone and placed it in the medallion he had given Illyana before. With Illyana now being rescued from Belasco's clutches, Storm and Cat took Illyana to Storm's secret garden. Here we learned what had happened to them as opposed to the X-Men team which had escaped Limbo only moments ago. After having encountered a part of Illyana's corrupted soul, Storm decided to take Illyana on as an apprentice, trying to help her fight off Belasco's influence. Cat did not like this decision and she left the garden angry with Storm. Storm started teaching Illyana certain magical tricks, during which a year had passed, and on one night Cat returned, caught Storm off guard, and took Illyana with her. A development which very much pleased Belasco, who was watching this unfold from a distance. We now continue the story of a young girl who is lost in Limbo, is trying to survive the ordeal, and is about to meet some of the other X-Men members from the alternate timeline. Among other things. Magik, Storm and Illyana, issue number 2. Limbo is a dangerous place, not one to be traveling through, especially not as a 7-year-old girl. It's a good thing that Cat is here with Illyana to fend off demons who want to attack them both. But regardless of how good of a fighter Cat has become, even she is not able to keep Illyana safe from the one that is attacking them now. Having no powers or fighting skills of her own, Illyana decides to try and run away from it, but Cat tells her to stop, to stand still. She tells Illyana to especially not step on one of the teleporting circles of light, which happen to be scattered all around Limbo. She then throws a couple of stars into the back of the monster. But all it does is make it angry and it starts to attack her instead. But this time Cat is ready for it and kills it. As Illyana is cheering it on and asks her if they are safe now, Cat warns her to look out behind her, since she is getting attacked by another demon. It manages to grab a hold of her, her dress rips and she stumbles backwards. Right into one of the light circles. The flashes temporarily blinds her, and when they clear, it's dark all around her. She can't see a thing, but she knows she's somewhere else. Far away from Cat. She is now alone and lost. She cannot help but cry, until another light circle appears right by her feet. Fearful of getting teleported away again, she moves herself towards the wall behind her, trying to talk some courage into herself and to stop acting like a baby. She asks herself what her brother Piotr would say if he would see her now. She's touching the strange texture of the wall behind her, trying to get up while wishing he was here. And then, she feels something on the wall. Because of the darkness she can't make out what it is. But then, suddenly, someone strikes a match and in its flickering glow she can see what she was feeling on the wall. It is the decaying corpse of her brother Colossus hanging on the wall, with a huge hole in his chest. She wants to scream, but instead, all she hears is laughter. She turns around and sees him there, greeting her, since they have never been formally introduced. He tells her that he works for his lord Belasco, and that Colossus is hanging on the walls because he objected to the plans Belasco has in store for Illyana. He then asks her if she thinks it looks cute or not. Illyana can tell that he is mocking both her and her brother, and that he is pretty sure that they are both helpless to do anything about it. She wishes she was bigger and stronger, and that she had powers like Cat and Aurora, so she would be able to make him pay for what he has done to her brother. She sees another light circle and makes a jump for it, and Sim of course knows what she's planning on doing. Right before she's able to step into the light circle, he grabs her by the hair. He then lifts her up in the air, by her hair alone. She tells him to let her down, but he advises her to be silent, or he will deliver her to his lord Belasco one piece at a time. He tells her Belasco wants her alive, but not necessarily in one piece. He then says that Belasco could always stitch her back together again, but that will hurt. And the result wouldn't be pretty either. He then suddenly yells out. Apparently, Cat has found him and stabs him in his tail. They have met one another before and Sim knows about Cat's powers, but he still tries to grab her. He tells her that she has annoyed him once too often and that he intends to feast on her heart, just like he has done with her friend Wolverine's heart. Cat tells him to be more original with his threats. Illyana then tells Cat that he killed her brother, but she tells her she already knows about that. But that was a long time ago and they have more immediate concerns right now. She tells Illyana to take a deep breath and to not let go of her hand, as she quickly faces the two of them through the wall and tells him to watch himself, or he might end up serving as her dinner one day. They end up in a region of Limbo which reminds Illyana of the barren Siberian tundra, where she was born. And Cat tells her that apart from Storm's garden, Limbo is whatever Belasco wants it to be. This part of Limbo is patterned after the place he tried to conquer on Earth, but ended up failing, called the Savage Land. Originally, it was a beautiful land, but Belasco has systematically corrupted and destroyed almost every living thing in it, as his form of revenge. Illyana asks Cat if it's because of magic that they are not falling to the ground, but Cat explains to her that it's just a facet of her phasing powers. No magic is involved. Cat then sees something she likes, and Illyana asks what it is. She throws Illyana in a bush and tells her to stay put, while she will get them some dinner, as she jumps at a two-headed saber-toothed tiger-looking creature. Illyana sees this happen and figures that Cat will most likely be killed, and that she herself will be next. But Cat surprises Illyana and slays it, slicing and stabbing one head at a time. Covered in sweat and blood, both hers and the tiger's, Cat takes off her mask and roars her triumph to the sky. Illyana then remembers her remark to Sim about making him her dinner, and all of a sudden, that remark does not seem like a joke to Illyana anymore. Now she realizes that Cat was dead serious. Cat then asks if she shocked Illyana, and if so, she better get used to it. Cat tells Illyana that the Kitty she knew wouldn't behave this way, but Kitty was a human and she no longer is. As Illyana has gathered some wood for a fire, she cooks her tiger steak, while Cat eats hers, raw. Illyana tries not to notice. She wonders if Cat senses how scared she is of her. Illyana really does not want to be with her, yet she is terrified that she will desert her. After dinner, Illyana tells Cat that Aurora said it would be dangerous to try and send her home. But Cat tells her that you cannot trust a sorcerer's words, not even Aurora's. She tells Illyana that this is what's real. This is what matters, as she holds her sword up and says that this is what you can trust. Cold steel and the strength of the body and the will to use it. She tells Illyana to get some sleep and that her training will start in the morning. As Illyana lies down, she asks her, training for what? And Cat says that she will find out soon enough, and once she does, she will probably wish that she hadn't. The next morning Illyana wakes up, realizing that she can't remember if she dreamt or not, and that makes her glad. Ever since she came to Limbo, all she had was nightmares. Sleeping and waking. Cat throws her a new outfit and tells her to change. This one will suit her better, and Illyana asks what will be for breakfast, and she tells Cat that she is hungry. She gets told by Cat that she will be a lot hungrier before they will finally eat, and they will be a long way from where they are now. Illyana asks where they are going, and Cat tells her to look at the mountains, far in the distance. When Illyana asks how they will reach those mountains, Cat tells her they will run, while she slaps her on the ass with a sword. While they are running, she tries to keep up, but Cat is so much bigger than her that she has to take 2 or 3 steps for every one of hers. And when she finally drops to her knees, Cat is not even breathing hard. She tells Cat that she can't take another step, to which Cat responds that she's sorry but she guesses she will have to leave her behind then. But at least, she will have him to keep her company, as she points at a demonic looking creature in a tree. This scares Illyana, so she gets up and starts running again, telling Cat to please wait for her. The rest of the day is filled with Illyana picking herself up from the dirt. And the more tired she gets, the more she trips and falls, with Cat just taunting her, goading her on and on and on. Illyana never imagined she could hurt so much, and Cat just looks as fresh as when they had started. She hates Cat by now. Cat throws her sword at Illyana, calls her a snowflake, and tells her to do something about it then, if she truly feels like that. Illyana responds by saying that maybe she will, when she's rested. And she tells Cat to not call her Snowflake anymore, since that was Piotr's special nickname for her, and it reminds her of what had happened to him. Cat then slashes Illyana's face with a dagger, and tells her that she will call her anything she likes and will do anything she wants, unless she stops her. She tells her to pick up the sword and to defend herself or die. Illyana feels her blood dripping down her face from where Cat cut her, and it hurts. A lot. When she turns to Cat, she can see the same crazy look on her face as when she was fighting the tiger. She is dead serious. Illyana picks up the sword and comes at Cat, but she has no idea how to use it, and Cat easily unarms her. Illyana is now on the ground again, and realizes that she is lost. She asks Cat if this means that she will kill her, but she tells her no. When Illyana asks Cat why she's even doing this, she tells her that it's a lesson. The first of many to come. She tells Illyana that to survive, especially against Belasco, you must grow hard, strong and skilled. There are no shortcuts to that goal. She says that today was hard, but tomorrow won't be any easier. She continues by telling Illyana that this unholy wilderness shaped and tempered her, and so will it her. Cat then gets interrupted by an astral projection of Storm, who asks her if she has gone mad, placing herself and Illyana in such dangerous surroundings. Cat was already wondering when she would show up. Storm begs Cat to return to her garden, as Illyana's only hope to free herself from Belasco's influence is to master the arcane arts as her apprentice. But Cat doesn't agree and tells her no. Storm tries to convince her by telling her again that steel is no proof against Belasco's powers. Only knowledge is. Cat tells her that if he lives, he will bleed, and when he's cut deep enough, he will die. And the same goes for Storm, as she throws her dagger at Storm's projection. Storm then confirms what Cat already knows. She cannot hurt her astral form, but in return, if Storm wishes to do so, she could strike Cat down with ease. She tells Cat that she knows that she would resist her, until death. And taking the life of someone she loves would make her no better than Belasco. She tells Cat that she gives her no other choice, but to leave them to their destiny and tells her farewell. Cat and Illyana continue with their journey, and during it, Cat never speaks of Aurora again. Even though Illyana has doubts about following Cat, she keeps them to herself. Regardless of how scared she is of Cat, she is far more afraid of the sorcerer's Storm. Illyana gradually grows taller and thinner, and when they finally reach the mountains, she has eventually become able to keep up with Cat's pace, no matter how fast she runs. Not only that, but she has become a lot more crafty in the duels she has been having with Cat. Cat has been keeping the sword and leaving Illyana with the knife instead. But even in those duels she has been starting to win. She was even able to cut Cat's face, and Cat compliments her on that, as she has never been able to do so before. Illyana says that she figures that they are now even, for the cut she gave her, and Cat concurs. Illyana asks Cat how much time has passed for the X-Men back on Earth since she was kidnapped. And Cat tells her that probably none has, even though Illyana has almost aged 3 years in the meantime. She figures the X-Men won't believe their eyes when they meet her again. But Cat tells her to not get cocky because she's not home yet. Far from it, actually. Illyana asks what their next move will be, and Cat tells her that they will climb up the mountain to Belasco's citadel. After a while they get there, and they face inside, and Illyana asks if Cat thinks there's anyone there. Cat tells her she hopes so, but Illyana doesn't. As they make their way through the castle, Illyana feels the same sense of rightness and belonging which she felt so long ago in Storm's garden. the garden which Storm had created as an oasis of beauty in the midst of the desolation of Limbo. The throne room they are in now is the heart of the desolation, and Illyana knows, she feels, that she is bound to both. As they move on, they are being watched by the corrupted Nightcrawler, and Illyana thinks about how all the X-Men who came to save her have been changed. Made evil by this awful place. She wonders what will happen to her. They then get greeted by Nightcrawler, who is Belasco's most loyal servant and the protector of his home. He jumps on top of Cat and throws her to the ground. Illyana sees this happen and immediately throws her dagger at him. Illyana knows this Nightcrawler is entirely different from the one she remembers. The one who was her brother's good friend and hers. He would tell her bedtime stories and would make her laugh when she was sad. This creature is not him. But it's no use. He teleports away and ends up right behind her. He wraps his tail around her throat and throws her straight at Cat. He tells Cat that she has a reputation as a swordswoman, as he arms himself with 3 blades and asks her if she wants to try her luck against him in a sword fight. Without saying a word, Cat faces through the floor, and Nightcrawler taunts her, saying that she's being unsporting and afraid. Illyana thinks to herself that Cat must have a good reason for leaving, but she wishes she hadn't. She decides to take Nightcrawler on, telling him he still has to deal with her. But he taunts her as well, right before he teleports out and appears right behind her, telling her that he can strike from any direction, and regardless of how quickly she reacts, he can be gone before she even touches him, and he teleports away again. She asks him who the coward is now, as she is only a little girl, and she asks him what he is afraid of. Why doesn't he just stand and face her? He appears again and tells her that if she insists, he will. And he asks her if she wants to exchange her knife for one of his swords. As he is gloating, he doesn't see Cat appear emerging from the floor. Illyana knows she has to keep him where he is, keep his attention on her, until Cat can make her move. Cat grabs him by the ankle, faces his foot through the floor and lets go of him. He then materializes, stuck in the floor, his flesh and blood merging with stone. His leg is being irreparably shattered, and he is in extreme pain. It's an awful tactic, but a very necessary one. Illyana notices how his scream seems to last forever, before Cat finally puts an end to them, as she plunges his own sword, which she dropped, right through his chest from behind. Illyana is aware that they would be in a fight for their lives. She tried her best to kill him, but she hadn't imagined it would be like this. Looking at Nightcrawler lying on the ground now, she sees him not for the demon he is, but for the man he was, and her heart almost breaks with grief. Cat tells her to stop gawking and to get a move on. They then arrive at Belasco's altar, where he performs his most powerful rituals. It is also the place where the dimensional barriers separating Limbo from Earth are the thinnest. Illyana asks how they can pass through them, and Cat explains to her that her phasing powers enables her to slip the atoms of her body between those of whatever it is she is moving through. On that primal atomic level, there's virtually no difference between the walls dividing a house and those which are separating dimensions. They should be able to phase out of Limbo and arrive back on Earth. Illyana notices a hesitation in Cat's voice, and asks if she's not sure about this. As they shift through dimensions, Cat tells her that she could never do it on her own. She was too afraid of what she would find. The world she left from before, the one whose X-Men are now dead and damned in Limbo, or worse, Illyana's world. An alternate Earth from Cat's own, where all the X-Men would still be alive in, and unchanged. Where she would have to face her younger, still innocent self. And Piotr, the man she loved more than life itself. The man who gave his life to save hers. During their journey through realms of sparkly lights, Illyana is amazed by all the colors she's seeing. More colors than she could have ever imagined. She hears music which sounds so beautiful to her. She wants to stay and listen to it forever. But Cat pulls her on. She can eventually see their destination, which is Magneto's former island and now functions as the X-Men's new headquarters. The place where Belasco had found her. She's eager to be home again. Yet, at the same time, it feels as if she's leaving home. She wants to go back as much as forward. As much as she is trying to banish Belasco from her thoughts, the more clearly she sees him in her mind. She remembers him and longs for him. And suddenly she can hear Kitty's voice. The younger Kitty, the one who tried to rescue her before. Illyana's wrist gets grabbed by Kitty and she tries to pull her through. And Illyana is delighted to see it's her. But suddenly, she finds herself being held by Belasco instead. Cat and Illyana have now ended up right where they started, at Belasco's lair. He asked them if they honestly believed that he would let them go so easily. He could tell there was a momentary surge of joy in Illyana when she saw that it was him instead of the X-Men. He tells her her heart seems to know its true allegiance, even if her head denies it. But Illyana calls him a liar. She tells him with conviction that she is nothing like him and she will never be like him. Sim chimes in by saying that never is a long, long time, and that time in this place is always on the side of Lord Belasco. He tells Illyana that her precious X-Men fought for as long and hard as they could, and tells her to take a look at what happened to them. He says that she will be no different. Belasco then tells him that he shouldn't frighten Illyana, because he wants them to be friends. He mentions it's a shame about what happened to Nightcrawler, because even though he had his limitations, he was an adequate servant, and good help is hard to find these days. He then tells Cat that since she's the one who killed him, it is only fitting that she will take his place now. But Cat tells him that if he misses Nightcrawler so much, he should just join him, as she draws her sword and attacks him. Belasco tells her that her impertinence and bravado no longer amuse him, and he tells her to stop where she is, and she does so. Illyana notices that Cat's face changed into a terrifying mix of confusion and despair. She does not seem to understand what's happening to her, why her body is no longer hers to control. Belasco then tells her to hand over his sword, and so she does. He tells her that he now sees the mistake he made. He left her too human, which in turn gave her a semblance of free will. But fortunately, that is easily rectified, he says, as he touches her forehead and tells her that she is a cat in name and that he will now let her become one in fact. And he changes her appearance and behavior into that of a cat even more. He then says that life is so much simpler when you lack the capacity to worry about it. Things either are or are not. They bring pain or pleasure. Needs or desires are basic and easily satisfied. He pets her and asks if it feels good and if he should stroke her some more, and all Cat can do is purr. Illyana just looks on and wonders if Belasco will do that to her as well. Transform her into one of his creatures, or does he have something even more awful in store for her? She is scared, but she can't look away. She feels excited. She wants to see him do more and wants to help. She remembers how Storm would not let her play with the living things in her garden, but maybe Belasco will. Storm said that it was wrong and evil, and Illyana knows that she was right, but she doesn't care. Belasco then tells her to approach him, and she does. He tells her that he has another gift for her as his apprentice, and hands her a knife. He tells her that she knows what to do with it. Illyana can sense the magic in the blade, and she can tell that it can sense the magic in her as well. She realizes very well that she could kill Belasco with this knife. Just shove the knife into his black heart. They are standing so close right now that not even Sim could prevent it. The way Belasco looks and smiles at her dares her to try. But she cuts herself instead. From across the room, she can hear the sound of feasting. She sees Cat hunched over Nightcrawler's corpse. Tears sting Illyana's eyes at the sight of this, and she remembers how peaceful he looked. As if in death, his soul had regained the innocence stolen from him in life, and she asks herself if she will be as lucky. She takes out the medallion that Belasco had given her before, the one that would grant her a grand and glorious destiny, once the 5 bloodstones fill their proper places. Belasco had conjured up the first one, and now it is her turn, as she lets a drop of blood fall from her gushing arm, right into its place in the medallion. Belasco then holds her by her chin, and tells her to come along with him, as he will show her apartments. and says that in the morning her apprenticeship will begin. She asks him if she can please go home, but he tells her that she is home. This is where she belongs, now and forever, right by his side. And Illyana likes what she's hearing. Someone who doesn't like what she's hearing is Storm. She was watching this development through her crystal ball. She warned Cat that this would happen, but she wouldn't listen to her. Cat would not believe her words. She curses Belasco for all the hurt he has caused. Cat and Illyana are like her own flesh, but what has now occurred leaves her no other alternative. For the sake of their souls, and for the sake of the world itself, she will now have to destroy them both. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by hitting the like button and by subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.